Well, good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Town Board meeting. For those who have never attended a meeting before, we will first have our public hearings followed by our decision calendar and an administrative calendar. There are meeting agendas available in the rear of the pavilion. If you wish to be heard on any of these matters, please go to the rear of the pavilion and just fill out a form at the entrance in the back. After the meeting is adjourned, the Town Board will stick around to hear any residents who have to address the board on any other matters. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Clavin.
Here.
Councilman Blakeman.
Here.
Councilman Carini.
Here.
Councilman Desposito.
I'm here.
Councilman Dunn.
Here.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Here. Councilman Muscarella.
Here.
Receiver of Taxes Janine Driscoll. Here.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby, if you'd lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I'm glad all of you could be here today for the very first meeting with me, so this is great, but we're going to start off in the right way. You're all very, very nice, so I'm going to do my best not to get it wrong, folks, okay? It's good to see the mayor from Lynbrook. Mayor, thank you as always for joining in. I know we're recognizing a lot of first responders because in our community sometimes, you know what, heroes are in our houses, heroes are next door neighbors, and heroes are everywhere we walk. And today we're here to recognize a couple of different groups of heroes in our community. And the first off is no stranger here in Town Hall. Everybody knows Drew Hansen. Everybody knows him because he's a hard worker, a friendly face, and always a smile. But you know what, Drew has actually had a very interesting occasion this past year. He was in here on a Saturday working. As your due diligence, you're a solid individual. And there was a car accident involving a mother and two children, if I remember correctly. And it was right here in Hempstead. And the airbags were deployed. You know what, there was a lot of excitement there. And Drew immediately pulled over, ran to the scene, first started by pulling out the two young kids, and then the mother out of the car until first responders arrived to provide the necessary aid. And you know what, like I said, sometimes it's just the action of people that you don't even know that are really, looking out for residents and putting them forth. So Drew, on behalf of all the board members, I may say congratulations to you. We'd like to present you with a citation for your accomplishments, and I think it's only fitting that all of my town board colleagues come on down for a photo because we're all one big team here in the town of Hempstead. So congratulations to you.
Just a point of interest, Drew served in the United States Marine Corps, December 5, I believe.
And I do ask my colleagues to stick around because it just doesn't end there. We're actually also going to recognize another group of individuals who stepped forward during an accident to really, frankly, do the right thing. And these are individuals who do this out of passion and love. These are true first responders who joined here today. And like I said, we're joined by the mayor of Lynbrook, who some of his colleagues in the village. So we're delighted to have you here, Mayor. So thank you very, very much. On November 27th, an Infiniti sedan was driving along and it struck the rear of a box truck. And it just didn't strike the rear, if I may say so. It slammed into the rear of the vehicle. Airbags were deployed, the fire occurred, and first responders stepped forth to save the life of the individual who's still recovering from it. And it was a combination of not only police officers and firefighters and EMT, but all of them working together really saved that individual's life. And it's very, very fitting here, we're all here today, to recognize the great feat of what all of you do. Sometimes we always take it for granted. Some of us, we don't appreciate it. Well, I know, I'm speaking on behalf of all of my colleagues and the residents here, we are very grateful for putting yourselves out there 365, 24 hours a day, putting your interests above everyone else's and your families. So with that, I'd like to honor a couple of individuals who were involved in this. First off, we'll start with Lunenburg police officer, and don't get mad if I destroy names, okay? Flip forward, but here first. Derek Winaro. Please, congratulations. Come on up. You're a big round of applause. Police Officer John Strunitzky. There you go. Congratulations. Police Officer Peter Fester of the Lunenburg Police Department. Lunenburg Fire Department was also involved. Ex-Captain Tracy Burke Lagobara. EMT of the Lunenburg Fire Department, Katie Du Bois. Congratulations. And lastly, Captain Jimmy Martinez of the Baldwin Fire Department. As I said, these individuals work together to save a life of somebody who was really in need, and that person's still recovering. I speak on behalf of all the residents here, everyone in Town Hall. We say, thank you for all you do. Thank you for your dedication to this, and thank you for putting forth and saving that individual's life. So we'd like to recognize all of you for your accomplishment here today. We'd like to ask to join us, and members of the police department and any other representatives of the fire department that have come to join and recognize their colleagues to join us for a quick photo, if you don't mind. Please.
I'm just going to stand.
No, Mayor. Thank you.
You get out?
Thank you all. Congratulations again. Listen, congratulations again. Mayor, thank you for coming. Listen, congratulations. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Oh, by the way, Janine, she and Julie, happy birthday. We just want to signal that out to you. Congratulations. Happy birthday. We all get one happy birthday. Madam Clerk, please call the first public hearing.
Delight. Our first public hearing is a proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Garden City South, near Island Park and West Hempstead.
I don't have any slips on this. Does anybody care to speak on this matter? Okay, I don't have any other slips. If not, may I have a motion on this item? Second motion.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Blakely. Aye. Councilman Carini. Aye. Councilman Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Boothby. Aye. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, go on the next item.
Proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in Garden City South, Lido Beach, Uniondale, near Valley Stream, West Hempstead, and Woodmere.
Again, I don't have any slips in this matter. Would anybody care to be heard on this?
Yes.
If you can come up to the podium, and please give your name and address, we appreciate it. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good morning.
Congratulations on your election.
Thank you very much. What your name?
Pearl Jacobs, I'm president of Nostra Garden Civic Association, Uniondale, speaking on behalf of the members of Nostra Garden Civic Association. My question for item 2 is Uniondale specifically, what does that encompass, the parking regulations and violations?
You could announce yourself.
Good morning, Supervisor.
See it?
Town Board members, Tom Reed, representing Traffic Control Division. Yes, this issue is regarding Uniondale Avenue, just north of Jerusalem Avenue. We are relocating a bus stop to the northwest corner to improve the traffic flow there. We work with the bus stop. We're relocating from the southwest corner to the northwest corner.
Yes, as I have spoken with you previously, the parking in Uniondale is atrocious. It's atrocious, Supervisor Clayton. Okay, we have members of our Civic Association residents that complain all the time. Okay, there is code enforcement, but in Uniondale we call it selective code enforcement because it doesn't seem to be enforced in Uniondale. Okay, so we do have issues in Uniondale. I've spoken with you before. I just want to know what area this encompasses, but we do have a myriad of problems in the residential streets, the tertiary streets in Uniondale. Okay, and it's escalating.
Okay, I know a couple of those issues kind of go to the police department in relation to this do you have
I
any
understand that. I just want to bring it forth.
Oh, okay, I appreciate
And
that.
it's not being enforced. Do you have traffic enforcement? I mean, from the town of Hempstead, do you have any enforcement? Any enforcement that comes from the town of Hempstead?
We can do if you want to bring that up later in the public section. Right now, we're just going to focus on.
I do. Okay, I just want to
Okay.
bring it up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Does anybody else wish to be heard in this matter?
Yes.
Okay. How you doing? Good morning. Your name and address, please?
Harris,
I'm sorry.
Patty Harris,
Hi, Ms. Harris.
Lennox Avenue, Uniondale. I wanted to know what is at that location with the bus stop, what's around it?
Okay, well, like I said, it was originally on the southwest corner by the Walgreens. And what was happening when the bus stopped there, the traffic was backing up and the motors were getting hung up in a red light camera. Plus, all the other cars were going around it into oncoming traffic. So what we did was relocate the bus stop to the other corner so the bus will stop before the traffic light and keep the traffic in line as it goes southbound on Uniondale Avenue.
Was that bus, the new bus stop is going to be in between the,
Where the old gas station is on the court there, on the northwest corner.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I don't have any other slips. Anything else wish to be heard on this? If not, may I have a motion?
Make a motion to close and accept.
Second motion. Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Blakely.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Boothby. Aye. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, call the next item.
Proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Baldwin, North Belmore, North Merrick, and Oceanside.
I don't have any slips in this matter. Does anybody want to be heard? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move to close the hearing, to be closed, and the item adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakely.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Desposito.
Aye.
Councilman Gunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Guzzi. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item?
Proposed local law regarding traffic regulations in the vicinity of schools in Woodmere.
I don't have any slips in this matter. Does anybody care to be heard? If not, may I have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and the item be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakely.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Desposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Guzzi. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Proposed local law regarding bus stops in Uniondale.
I do not have any slips in this matter. Does anybody wish to be heard? If not, may you please have the motion on this?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the motion adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakely.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Desposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Guzzi. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Proposed handicap parking on public streets in Franklin Square, Lido Beach, Seaford, near Valley Stream, near Westbury, and Woodmere.
I don't have any slips in this matter. Does anybody wish to be heard? If not, may I have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the item be adopted.
Second motion.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakely.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Desposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Guzzi. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Proposed renewal contract for furnishing fire protection within the West Sunbury Fire Protection District in Hewlett-Packard.
I do not have any slips in this matter. Does anybody wish to be heard? If not, may I have a motion?
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the renewal contract furnishing fire protection be granted.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakely.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Desposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Guzzi.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
All right, please call the decision calendar.
Supervisor, on the decision calendar, we have 5 decisions. The first one is the first of a companion item. The decision, the application of Bola EM Realty LLC to include an existing gasoline service station within the GSS district and install 2 storage tanks, each with a capacity of 12,000 gallons, located in Franklin Square.
Can I have a motion on that?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I move that the application be granted with the covenants and conditions contained therein.
Second.
Councilman Blakely.
Aye.
Councilman Desposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Guzzi. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Please call the next item on the decision calendar.
The next decision is the application of Bola EM Realty LLC to permit a change of zone for a portion of the property. The overall property is currently split zoned as Residence C and GSS in an underlying Business X zone to renovate and redevelop the overall property located in Franklin Square.
May I have a motion?
Mr. Supervisor, I move that the application be granted with the conditions and covenants contained therein.
Second.
Councilman Blakely.
Aye.
Councilman Desposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Guzzi. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
May I have another motion? Or the next motion?
The next decision is the application of Tarifa Auto Repair, Inc. for a special exception to operate an auto body repair shop with temporary outdoor storage for vehicles under repair in Inwood.
Mr. Supervisor, I move that the application be granted with the covenants and conditions contained therein.
Second.
Councilman Blakely.
Aye.
Councilman Desposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Guzzi. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
I make a motion on the next decision.
The next decision is the application of Manoj Ramator for a special exception for use of an auto body repair shop business with outdoor storage for vehicles under repair in Roosevelt.
I have a motion.
I move the decision and request that it be denied.
Second motion.
Councilman Blakeman.
No.
Council-
Well, excuse me, the motion, no against the application, yes to Supervisor Goosby's motion to reject it.
Congratulations.
I don't want to incur your wrath.
So Councilman Blakeman.
I vote with Senior Councilman Goosby. Yes, sir.
Councilman Desposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Goosby. Aye. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Make a motion for the next decision.
All right, the decision adopting the finding statement dated January 21st, 2020, in accordance with 6 NYCRR Section 617.11 and the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act for the creation of a new Article 42 of the Building Zone Ordinance for the Town of Hempstead to be entitled Baldwin Mixed Use Zoning Overlay District, and adopting such new article into the Town of Hempstead Building Zone for Baldwin.
Madam motion?
Supervisor Clayton, I have a statement that I would like to make, please. I move this board adopt the findings statement in the Baldwin Mixed-Use Zoning Overlay District. I also wish to say that there were changes made to this ordinance in the summer of September 2019 by the previous supervisor and the previous councilperson from the 5th District that removed limits on density, limits, and were told to the community during the fall of 2018 and spring of 2019, and limits that the community was unexpected. While these changes were put before the board prior to the public hearing, these changes were not communicated to me, who represents part of Baldwin, not communicated to Councilman Anthony Esposito, who also represents part of Baldwin, and were not communicated to the Civic Association. I wish we had time to address this problem and make the ordinance more conforming to the wishes of the community prior to its adoption. But the timetable laid down by the state for our DRI funding did not give us sufficient time. However, I want to assure the community that I, Supervisor Don Clavin, Councilman Chris Carini, and Councilman D. Esposito will immediately begin working on the necessary amendments that will return density limits to this overlay zone, and we will finalize the communication to the city, the chamber, and other communities and stakeholders. And that's my statement on that. And I recommend adoption.
Have a motion.
Second.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Desposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Goosby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. I would just like to make a brief comment on that, if you might. I just want to say the reason why I didn't vote on this is I wasn't here for the process. I'm fully on board and looking forward to this process going forward. And I'll be holding Councilman Goosby, Councilman D'Esposito, Supervisor Clayton, part of the process going forward. So good luck, Baldwin. I'll be there with you. Thank you.
Please call the administrative calendar.
Supervisors, there are items 1 through 75 on the administrative calendar. I also have 4 resolutions that are of an urgent or emergency nature. The first is a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of the Town of Hempstead Department of Occupational Resources to execute the Occupational Skills Classroom Training Contract between the Town of Hempstead Department of Occupational Resources and training providers. This will be item number 76 on the calendar. The second handup is a resolution appointing Ryan Hemsley as Commissioner of the Town of Hempstead Sanitary District number 7 to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Matthew Horowitz. This will be item number 77 on the calendar. The third handup is a resolution authorizing an increase in the capital outlay account and adding the new state aid revenue account. This will be item number 78 on the calendar. The fourth is a resolution authorizing the award of a bid for title check, valve installation, and stormwater improvements, Town of Hempstead, New York, Public Works 31-19. This will be item number 79 on the calendar.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do any of the council members wish to sever any items on the administrative calendar? All right. May I have a motion on the administrative calendar?
I move that we make a motion to adopt items 1 through 79.
Second.
Okay, I have a couple of slips here that will start with Felix Bercacci. If you can give your name and address, please, thank you.
Felix Procacci. I'm speaking on items number 50, 68, and 69, and they kind of all interleave with each other. First, the annual budget.
Felix, just a second. 58.
50, 68, and 69.
68 and 69.
First of all, I like what we did here for the supervisor's budget in that we detailed what was going on. But that needs to be done all the time, because in the past, changes to the budget were made during the year. Positions were subtracted or added, but salaries were changed, but they were in the original budget. There was no amendment for that. It was a resolution to increase the salary, but no one knew that it was out of budget. So we need to do a resolution for that. So this, what you did here today, is done all the time for every department, all the time. Also, we need an ethics board member. We still missing one member. The majority needs to approve that. And also in number 68, the master list, the compliance officers department is missing completely from it. It was in the 2020 budget originally. And so I'm asking, does the compliance officer department still exist? Is that a way of getting rid of it by not putting it there? I just don't know how to interpret that. Yeah, and all the, what we need to...
Hold on. Sure. Mr. Savage, do you want to maybe put an answer there?
Morning, Supervisor, members of the town board. The compliance department is still in operation. I will revisit the creation of the master list, which is required by law to be a snapshot of the payroll as of January 1st. I think in the transition from the old software to the new software, we may have omitted it accidentally, and it'll be a subject of a subsequent resolution corrected.
Great, and when it is, we'll let Mr. Capchi know. Courtesy. Okay.
Also, the master list only has 2 people in your department. I don't think that's correct. I double checked it just yesterday online, and so I think it needs to be, you really should pass the resolution as is, because I think it's just wrong.
We could pass it now, or we could amend any situations that need correcting.
Okay, great, thank you.
Then finally, what's not being done is all the retirements, the terminations, salary increases, retirees, and leave of absences need to be put on resolutions. Right now, I've seen, because I foil the master list every year, salaries have gone up, but there was no, not talking about contractual things. That you don't have to put a person, if they're in the union and they get a contractual raise, that every person under that situation doesn't need to be put on a resolution. But when you have ungraded people that get raises, it needs to be put on a resolution. And I've seen over the years that many people haven't been put on resolutions. So all those details really should be put in resolutions, so there's a way of the public tracking when politicians make promises to do this and that. The only way we can look at it, easily, without going through an enormous amount of foils, is looking at what happened in these board meetings. Otherwise, it's a foil mess that you have to really go through and analyze. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Happy New Year. Next up, I have Diane Madden. I believe it's number 29, but I'm not. Good morning, Ms. Madden. How are you?
Good morning. How are you, Supervisor?
Good to see you.
Congratulations all again and Happy New Year. Yes, it is 29, and my question and comment, did this contract go up for RFP? Again, it's regarding the food at the animal shelter.
Commissioner, identify yourself.
Good morning, Supervisor, Town Board members, Senior Councilwoman Jerry Marino, the Commissioner of General Services for the Town of Hempstead. Purchasing Department is recommending to the Town Board to renew the contract with Hill's Pet for dog and cat food for the year 2020. It's a requirements contract not to exceed, I believe, $120,000, depending on.
Right, so, well, number one, the concern I have is that when you said the purchasing department, there is no longer, in my opinion, the person that was put in place after the first audit to make sure that none of the food was recalled, which in this case, I believe it's been recalled a number of times, and also that the RFP goes out so we get, for these animals, the highest quality food for the lowest taxpayer cost. So that's why I think it was really imperative to put this out in an RFP and to examine the food that the animals have been eating and if in fact it has been recalled. And a lot of this information comes from caring employees inside that would like to see things change, particularly with some of these contracts. And again, I think at this point, I don't think it's too much to ask the board to table this until you can find out if any of the food fed to our animals has been recalled. That should matter. So please keep that in mind, and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Madden.
Would you like me to respond?
Commissioner, do you have a response?
My understanding that that's never happened, that I haven't received any complaints from the director or any workers or received any emails or correspondence that there's anything not good about the food that we're purchasing. We also use mutts and butts on emergency.
Right, I think they actually did a fairly good job, mutts and butts, and it was, I think it was more cost effective. I would have to go back to my notes, and we certainly had options for higher quality foods, and I disagree with your statement about what the, I'm not surprised, first of all, that the director there hasn't complained about this. But I assure you, the staff is concerned about it, and we should look into whether any of that food, because they have been, for example, fed Hill's diet, which, again, I don't know. I'm not going to make a public statement that it's their food, but I know they've had many recalls, and I know that we have purchased Hill's formula. So,
Isn't there a policy and procedures that each of the departments in general services have where if there's something like this comes up, it's addressed by the department, doesn't have to come to the board?
Obviously, if something was recalled,
It seems like anything.
Right, that's something that we would be contacted or we would look into. But no, that's like any product that's recalled that you would see on TV or whatever. No one has ever brought it to our attention. I know purchasing before they renew a contract asks extensively the department if there's any reason why we shouldn't renew a contract, because we always use 1 year with 2-year options or whatever. And we weren't told anything negative. I've never heard anything from an employee.
If something like this does happen in that department or any department, they'll let you know, and then you'll let us know, correct? Is that
Absolutely, that would happen.
Thank you.
I remember, even though we have a contract, if we deem in the middle of the contract that this product is inferior or they're not doing the right thing, we have the right to ask the town board to revoke the contract and start over.
So what food is being fed to the dogs? And aside from all of that, this contract should have gone out for bid, again, to make sure we have the highest quality food for the least amount of taxpayer dollars. That aside, do you happen to know what the dogs and cats are eating right now?
I don't know exactly, but it's a requirements contract where there's many different types that we buy, wet, dry, and special needs type food for certain animals.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Madden. Thank you, Commissioner. I don't have any other slips on this. Would anybody else like to be heard on the administrative calendar? Hello. How are you? Please state your name and address.
Peter J. Marinable, a resident. First and foremost, congratulations to the new team, new leadership. We're hoping for new energy, new enthusiasm, and actual results for those who continue to be underserved.
Thank you.
I would like to pause for a moment. The last week or so, we have lost, I know people have lost members, family members, and things of that nature, but for me particularly, there's been 2 losses in the veteran community. I was at a wake yesterday, and I'm in the process of coordinating a cremation and remembrance for one of our formerly homeless veterans who passed away after a prolonged illness on Sunday night. So I would request just a moment of silence for them and for all who have had losses recently in the veteran community, if you don't mind.
I don't.
I think we should stay. Yeah, that's a great idea, we stand at it. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to commend Supervisor Clayton and the team, assembled staff, commissioners, etc., with regard to starting off the year with something I know that I have been requesting over the years, actually having handouts with the additional items on the agenda. I do appreciate that. I just like to give credit where it is due. I was taught that.
One of a team, that's all.
And with regard to the calendar itself, I just had a question about a couple of the items. Item 15, just some information as to what the status is with that item.
Our commissioner here to talk about item number 15 on the calendar.
I will continue. On item 21, what is that? I'm just trying to understand where it says an act to amend the vehicle and traffic law in relation to authorizing a residential parking system in certain parts of the hamlet of Oceanside.
So, go ahead.
I'm sorry, the receiver called me for a second or so. You had a question on item 15?
Yes.
That is correct.
Yes.
Item 15 is an environmental decision that says that the addition to the auto repair shop will have no adverse effect on the environment. And then the application will then go forward and it'll be the subject of the town board hearing.
Okay, so there will be a hearing on that for further.
Yes, there will.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I apologize.
No problem. On 21, what is that?
21, the act to amend the vehicle traffic law in Oceanside, that one?
Yes.
Okay, so what that's about is there is a large expansion going on the campus of South Nassau Hospital. So for years, there's been issues in the immediate vicinity regarding parking. Years back when Councilman Hughes represented the NUMC area, there was an effort put forth by the community and the town of Hempstead to have resident-only parking. Basically, if you live on the street, you get tags for your car. This way the people who are either working at South Nassau, visiting South Nassau, or doing the construction at South Nassau aren't taking up all the streets. What that does require is it requires a home rule message, which is a vote of legislation up in Albany. It's then sent back down here to town Hempstead, goes back up to Albany. So what we're doing is we are telling our representatives in Albany that we are willing to look into this residential parking and try to come up with an area to alleviate some of the issues that the residents are having. And we're not sure yet if it's going to be for a long duration or just while the construction is taking place.
I see. Okay, because it is parking is problematic.
Yeah.
And I know it's a burden for residents there, as well as those who live in East Meadow, who are near the medical center.
Correct. Yep.
Thank you.
You got it.
Pages 4, most of 5, and part of 6 have to do with extension of contracts. Just wanted to get some clarification as to what would be taking place in terms of the procurement to make sure that we have some diversity in these contracts. If we're extending established contracts, how are we actually looking out for increasing veteran-owned, minority-owned, and women-owned businesses? Someone can speak to that.
Madam Chair?
Well, these are extensions of existing contracts, so as we I may have said to you previously, we comply with New York State law and on diversity contracts, and these are extensions of existing contracts. So I don't know if there would have been further reaching out on these extensions.
Okay. But unfortunately, New York State is failing in its own as far as diversity, so being in compliance really doesn't bode well, because pretty much a number of these contracts are going to the same companies that have not really proven that they have any type of diversity in place. But before my time is up, my last question has to do with the hand up that has to do with the capital budget outlay. If somebody could speak to that.
That is a transfer of funds. It's not an increase. It's a transfer of funds for the Levittown Park District, so that a spray pad is going to be installed or repaired.
Okay, because it said other culture and recreation account, so it's just like a name, but that's really what it's about. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I don't have any other slips on this. Would anybody else like to be heard? Come on up and state your name and address again, please.
Earl Jacobs, Uniondale, speaking on behalf of the Nostrand Garden Civic Association. Item number 14, resolution awarding bid for the emergency asbestos inspections throughout the town of Hempstead. My question is 615 Uniondale Avenue. Is that included in this resolution?
Commissioner Rockdale.
Good morning, Supervisor, members of the town board. What this contract is for is anytime the town does any type of demolition, we have an air monitoring company come in to verify that the asbestos is under control, that it's not becoming airborne. So in the case of Uniondale area, yes.
That is included in this?
Yes.
And can you also expound on what is going on at 615 Uniondale Avenue? At the last meeting, we were told, in 19, we were told that that's aired for demolition. However, we do see work going on at that property, so we do not understand whether it's illegal work. We do see that someone had put in some windows. There's periodic construction workers over there. I don't know, like I said, it needs to be looked into because we want that demolished.
Yes, the town board is moving forward.
It's moving forward with demolishing it. Is there an eye on that property? Because like I said, it needs to be an eye on that property because we do see periodically vans in front and they are doing some sort of work. I'm just giving you a heads up on that.
Okay, well, I'll send the area inspector out there to look.
Thank you. And then another question, 876 Uniondale Avenue, the old, the former oil and lube station. We do see where they're going underground doing work. There's work at that location. Can you tell us what's going on there?
Well, I know that the one gas station is going to become a 7-Eleven, and
that's at the World. That's the cross from the World.
That's not a town piece of property, right?
No, correct.
So that's nothing on this part of the calendar. If you want to stick around for the miscellaneous part of the program, we can bring that up.
Okay. Also, Commissioner, this is from members of my civic association. I told them I would hand that to you.
Absolutely, City Councilman.
Okay, well, I'll
Thank you,
for the response on that. Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any other slips. Would anyone else like to be heard on this? If not, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll on items number 1 through 79?
Supervisor Clayton.
I vote yes, with the exception of number 68. I vote for all except for 68, where I will be voting no concerning Donna Amendola.
Councilman Blakeman. Aye. Councilman Carini.
I will be voting aye on all except for number 68. I'll be voting aye.
Councilman Desposito.
I vote aye, with the exception of 69, to which I recuse myself only for the item that pertains to Danielle D'Esposito.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Aye. Councilman Mascarella.
Aye.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman. Aye. Councilman Greenie.
Aye.
Councilman Desposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Aye. Senior Councilwoman Guzzi. Aye. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay, I have a number of slips for those who wish to be heard. I'd like to start off with Eric Alexander. Morning, Mr. Alexander. Can you give your name and address? Okay.
Yeah, so I'll speak in public. Yeah, no, I know. Thank you. Mr. Supervisor Craven, members of the town board. My name is Eric Alexander, Division Long Island, 24 Woodbine Avenue, Northport, New York, 11768. So, Mr. Supervisor, members of the town board, Senior Councilwoman Dorothy Guzzi, Councilman Anthony Esposito, thank you for voting in favor of the overlay zoning for Grand Avenue in Baldwin. I think it's just a fantastic step. And Councilman Carini, we look forward to working with you in the future in Baldwin as your term continues on. So we did have to look at, Aaron King Sweeney did an enormous amount of work on this, and certainly county executive work current, certainly happened during the administration of former Supervisor Gillen. The Civic Association and Chamber were heavily involved and really took a major lead. There have been 4 plans through the years, and this one I think will stick. It was involved, property owners were involved, developers were involved, so it's going to be a zoning code that actually is buildable. There will be controls on the density, and that's good as well. We certainly want to thank New York State Assembly persons, Judy Griffin and Senator Todd Kaminsky for helping bring in the $10 million for the DRI, which is a companion piece to this. We worked with VHB and on this plan. We want to thank the staff for sure, Rich Regina, Shelley Brazeley, and Rebecca Sinclair had done enormous work on this plan. What we see for the community, for Baldwin, what they've been asking for, mixed-use development, small businesses to thrive, walkability, and really that sense of place, that Main Street feel that they want to get back to on Grand Avenue. And maybe we'll get a chance to hear, we don't want to say, why is everywhere else doing something and not Baldwin? I think there's some things that are moving forward with this code. I want to end with two thoughts. One is there will be some technical changes to the code regarding the FAR line as far as showing the incentive zoning, and I know that'll follow up in reference to Senior Councilwoman Dorothy Guzzi's amendment. Also, big isn't always the most important thing. Most transit-oriented development projects in downtowns, big projects are good, but a lot of small and medium-scale projects have advanced downtown revitalization. So the obsession that you'll be under a lot of pressure, maybe from the state, maybe from outside forces, to say, do big, do big, do big. It's not just about big. Sometimes you need smaller projects to get these things going. And I just say, last thing I'd say in the last 10 seconds is keep it community-driven. That's what got consensus here between all folks who we were told could never work together. And the community-driven process got consensus here, and I think that's a lesson for other areas of town as well. So good luck, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Next up I have is Karen Montalbano. I hope I said it correctly.
Yes, you did.
Okay. Good morning, Ms. Montalbano. If you give your name and address, please.
Good morning. Karen Montalbano, 2611 Park Avenue, Baldwin, New York. I am currently the government liaison for the Baldwin Civic Association, past president. Congratulations to all of you for your election, for re-election, etc., and also for passing this Baldwin zoning overlay. I would like to thank you, Senior Councilwoman Dorothy Guzzi, for acknowledging that there is still some work to be done, and we really appreciate the fact that the community has had input in this and will continue to have input in this. It is our community. It is something that we are looking forward to developing and getting the right development that works for everybody, for the developer, for the town, for the people of Baldwin. So I appreciate all that you are doing. We look forward to working with you and getting the best type of development for Walden. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Happy New Year. Next I'm going to call is Francis Miller.
That's from the Meadows, and Councilman Blakeman has spoken.
Okay.
Most of them, I don't know if anybody else is here.
Okay, we'll go through them. Lois Leon, calling with the Meadows. Okay. Joseph Samuels. Felix Bercacci.
Felix Bercacci. In April 2019, I submitted a complaint to the town compliance officer, Thomas Wildig, because the town board entered into an illegal $50,000 professional services contract without getting requests for bids and qualifications as required by the town code. In Mr. Wildig's response to my complaint, he cited the first 7 words of guideline number 3 of the town's procurement rules, except when directed by the town board. These 7 words alone, only a small part of a lengthy sentence, was his basis for justifying the town's board's illegal action. Mr. Wildig failed to take into account the rest of the sentence, which explains in detail the circumstances in which no solicitation of proposals are required, which includes contracts of $10,000 or less. According to Mr. Wildig, any time the town board directs a procurement, it is an exception to any rule or law. On August 11, 2019, I sent an email to Mr. Wildig, CCing the entire town board, asking him to explain his decision and waived all confidentiality. I have yet to receive a response from Mr. Wildig or any other board member. In addition, Board of Election records show that Mr. Wildig's company made political contributions in violation of the law. When Mr. Wildig denied making the contributions, Don Clavin, the Republican candidate for supervisor, said, "I don't know anything about his company, and if Mr. Wildig said he hasn't made any contributions, then he hasn't." For many years, Mr. Wildig has been a prolific contributor to the Republican Party. That in itself should have disqualified him from being the town's compliance officer. The fact that Mr. Clavin felt no need to call for an investigation further demonstrates Mr. Wildig is the wrong person for the job because of his political connections. Everyone needs to understand that Mr. Wildig is a criminal. He intentionally impeded the investigation of my complaint, and according to the law, he committed a Class A misdemeanor, which is punishable by up to 1 year in prison.
Mr. Bercacci.
Yeah,
Supervisor Clavin.
Mr. Bercacci, there's one thing to discuss. There's one thing to discuss how you feel about this town board. There's another thing to call people criminals, and it's disrespectful, and you shouldn't do it to anyone.
Inappropriate. Not only that, I think you could bring him to court.
It's ridiculous. If you don't like the way that he's handling his job, that's one thing. You don't call somebody a criminal.
Exactly. It's completely inappropriate, Felix. Tell us how you feel, and like Councilman D'Esposito said, if you have an opinion, you have an opinion, but to call somebody a criminal...
The guy had a distinguished career in law enforcement here in Nassau County, and now you're going to criticize him in a public forum and call him a criminal? If you don't like the way he's doing his job, that's one thing.
Supervisor Clavin, upon taking office, you emphasized unity. So far, this board has been unified in ignoring Mr. Wildig's crime. A unified board bent on ignoring criminal behavior does not serve the public good.
Thank you very much. John Defense. That's the worst. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm a recent resident at the Baldwin Senior Citizen Center. And I saw things that I would like to improve on, and I went to the director to do it, or she'd like to get permission. I explained to her what I was trying to do, and she said, okay. It involves me having what I call a dollar raffle involving about 20 or 30 people, which is normally the amount of people there, and I'm giving away $300 or $400 worth of merchandise. The director said it was okay. I set it up. The residents had opportunity to see what I was doing, and they said gladly they'll get involved. So I'm waiting for them to finish their bingo game before I can start. And the lady by the name of Mr. Gladly, Gate, or whatever. I know that's Debbie now, so I know y'all know what I'm talking about. She said, yes, ma'am. Well, anyway, she came and told me that I could not do it because I'm going to be making money on it. And I said, well, miss, I'm giving away $300 worth of merchandise, and I'm going to get back about $20 or $30, but that's not the bottom line. The bottom line would have been that I'm going to also donate a pool table to the organization, because one they had is dilapidated, and I could have got 60 hurt because I leaned on it, not knowing its condition, and it collapsed. So, and being that I like to shoot pool, I said, well, I'll give them mine because I'm losing my home. And I never got into that because she told me I could not do it, period. But she gave me two options. She said, either I can give the $20 or $30 to the senior citizen program or give away the merchandise. I was not prepared for that. So I chose to give it away. And thinking about what was happening, I'm still going to go through with the pool table. And in order to get the pool table from my former home to the center, it's going to cost me $800. And I told Billy Sue, the director, that I'm still willing to do it and I'll pay the cost. And I'm still told that the $20 or $30 is the issue. As long as I put that money in my pocket, I'm violating some code. And I felt that if you want to be technical, you could say I took that $20 or $30 and applied it to the pool table, which means instead of costing me $800, it cost me $770. But I didn't ask the center to do anything. Just let me put the pool table in. And she wouldn't let me do it.
Well, we have the commissioner next to you. Commissioner?
Mr. Defense, hi, I'm Lisa Murphy, the commissioner. Okay, and we do appreciate your donation of the pool table very, very much to the center. Billy Sue, the director, had been misinformed in terms of what she could and could not allow you to, do and bring to the center. The reason being that there are two different rules, and I know you had looked for and wanted to see them in writing. Okay, yes, so there's an enumeration clause, which is in the bylaws of the center, which says that there can be no profit to any individual or company. And then there's also, within the housing authority, there is also a regulation which also pertains to the same matter in terms of an individual or a company being able to profit. This is where the problem is. I do realize that we're talking about $20 or $30, and I also am really grateful for your wanting to be so generous as to donate items to the center, and I'm aware of that, and I thank you for that. Currently, though, these are the rules, and once she informed us at the office of what was going on, we had to enforce the rules. Now, those rules perhaps can be changed at some way or time, but that's not within my power or jurisdiction to do so. The bylaws would need to be changed within the senior center amongst the senior residents. There would have to be a meeting and they would have to change it, and then the housing authority would also have to change their rules. It would not be up to the town board to do that, at least not my interpretation.
Okay, my last point on this here, because I'm thinking in terms of if Billy Sue did not know the rules and regulations, she's the one who put me on the spot. Because if I knew the rules and regulations, I wouldn't have offered to do that. Right? I followed the direction I'm supposed to go. I went to the person in charge to get the permission.
No, I get you. It's all good intentions, but like I said, the commissioner is following the rules, and if there's a means that they could follow up with the group down there involved in, maybe they change it. But I know your intentions are pure and good, and I'm sorry, but the commissioner does have to follow the rules down there. That's a priority.
We are very happy to have you at the center, and we will work with you in the future on other things.
Can I add one thing to that, sir, please? May I?
Yeah, of course.
I if you guys, excuse me expression, if you guys and ladies were to rule in my favor about what would be my satisfaction, I would let me do it again. Because my purpose was to bring me closer to the people that's in the center. Because right now I'm still learning who's who, and I don't know half the things that's going on in there.
No, I know, and like I said, we can't.
So I can do it again, provided I give the merchandise away. That's what the lady told me. I give it away. So.
Absolutely, and I would tell you, you should spend a little time with the commissioner after the meeting. Like, if we can get you to your ends, your great intentions, and do it in a proper way, that everything, that cross the T's, dot the I, we will. And we appreciate your generosity most of all. It's very thoughtful of you, so thank you very much.
Should I wait to talk or something?
You're right there. Absolutely.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, sir. 20-30 people.
Pearl Jacobs.
Pearl Jacobs, Unidale. Again, congratulations on your election to Town Supervisor, Supervisor Clavin. Our previous Town Supervisor, Laura Gillen, was extremely outreaching to the Unidale community. Laura Gillen supported the Nostra Garden Civic Association's Positive Quality of Life Transformation Initiative, and as a result of her support, substantial improvements resulted. However, there is still much work to be done. It is our hope that under your current administration, Unidale will continue to be supported and Unidale will continue to progress forward. I have a little concern because the 3 weeks during the holiday time period, my phone was ringing off the hook from residents complaining about the amount of garbage, litter that were on our streets, curbs, and the municipal parking lots. Okay, it appeared that for those 3 weeks that everybody in the town of Hempstead was on vacation. There was nobody cleaning our streets. The municipal parking lots were atrocious. And we had been used to seeing progress. And it appeared that there was a lot of regression going on. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I did speak with Commissioner John Conway and his staff. We have been in dialogue. We've had a good dialogue, and he's a good commissioner. I want to say that, okay? And I'm sure, and I'm hopeful that this won't happen again. We can move forward, and we can move forward hopefully on the progress that our former supervisor, Laura Gillen, has made with our community. Our civic association held an open community forum to listen to the issues that are of most concern to Unidale residents on January 6th at our Nostra Garden Civic Association's meeting. The top 3 issues brought forth at this meeting were deficiencies in code enforcement, buildings and sanitation, condition of Unidale's roads, and blighted abandoned lots that are spread throughout the Unidale community. As a result of this meeting, residents are requesting commissioners from the Department of Buildings and the Department of Sanitation to be present at the next meeting of the Nostra Garden Civic Association on February 3rd. And I did send an email to your office, Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. This is the email I sent on January 9th at 10:11 a.m. I have yet to receive a response asking for representation at our next meeting and outlining the concerns that were brought forth at this community forum. So I have a copy for you.
No, you don't need to give me another.
Okay, but I did not receive a response.
I am aware of it. We will let you know. I'm very busy on that night. But as I was doing it in the past, I will have a meeting in each of my areas in my district. And when I come, all of the commissioners will come with me. And as we did in the past, I asked you before, any problems you have, you don't even have to get involved in it. Let the residents take care of themselves. All they need to do is send an email to us or even call us on the phone and we listen. There are many areas that we've been taking care of that you don't know about because some of the residents are still calling us and letting us know. And some of the things that you're saying, I don't know because I ride for Unidale whenever I can. I can't do it all the time.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
Councilwoman Gooseby, I asked you to ride for Unidale with me on numerous times.
I let you say, I would like to finish. You said you work in the cooperative world, so this is the way we treat each other. Just listen to me and I'm listening to you, because maybe some way some of this can be worked out. Because before we never had this problem with all of the people there until you retired. I have to tell you that. Because everyone knew how to reach us, just as they do other council members as well. We don't have enough people to really come around unless you let us know. We need your help too, from the commission and from your people that live in the community. Let us know. You know, we don't mind taking care of it. We cannot do all of it all the time. But Unionville is one of them commissions. I have so many areas within the town that, and not only that, the entire town is taken care of by one commissioner from each area that we have. So it really would make it better for each of us. We can do a better job if, you know, like in other areas, the residents do cooperate. So I'm just asking that of you. If you would change what you're doing, you go around yourself. You don't have to do all of that. We have people who can do it. Let us know. We will take care of it. We took care of 2,000 complaints last year, whether you know it or not. She was here, but some of the things that happened, we didn't know about. You let her office know, but it didn't come to me. So we're just asking for cooperation for the residents who live in the area, as they do in other areas, to inform us of what's going on, and we will take care of it.
Okay, so now I'll speak, Senior Councilwoman Gillespie. Okay, and you just made a statement that this wasn't an issue until I retired. You literally, I could be cruising the Mediterranean. I really could. Okay, however, I live in Uniondale as well. I'm a civic leader in Uniondale. Okay, I pay taxes, and you know what? A picture is worth 1,000 words. I look around, and I do not see our community, our neighborhood being cared for. I do see other areas that are being cared for, but I do not see Uniondale. If you can, I asked you before, Senior Councilwoman Gillespie, come and do a tour of Uniondale with me, so you can see what I see. Okay, I do not settle for mediocrity. I do not settle for mediocrity. Okay, last year, year before last, I was here in front of you, and I was bringing issues forth to you regarding Uniondale, and you got a little frustrated. You looked over to Supervisor Gillen, and you said, you take care of Uniondale. And you know what? And she did. So I'm going to go on to finish reading, okay? So code enforcement in Uniondale. In Uniondale, we refer to code enforcement as selective code enforcement, as in certain communities, code enforcement is not an issue. However, in Uniondale and Roosevelt, town codes are not enforced. Residents of Uniondale are requesting that summonses or civil tickets be issued to businesses, homeowners, and landlords that do not clean in front of their properties. And the root cause of the Uniondale's deteriorating quality of life is a direct result of lack of building code enforcement. Residents are frustrated regarding the inconsistency in code enforcement. Okay, and Uniondale Avenue is the gateway to the hub. The town of Hempstead needs to step up code enforcement in Uniondale's residential communities so as not to cast a brighter light on the disparity that currently exists in Uniondale. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
But listen, Uniondale Avenue happens to be a county road. I'm sure you
Senior Councilwoman Gillespie, you can be assured that I do speak with Legislator Abrahams as I speak with you, and it would be my wish that you and Legislator Abrahams would work together to bring a better quality of life to Uniondale and Roosevelt, because I get calls from people from Roosevelt as well. Thank you.
Thank you. James Jacob. Mr. Jacob.
Congratulations on your way, Mr. Supervisor.
Thanks. Thank you.
Senior Councilman Gillespie, and Happy New Year to the fellow council people up there. Ms. Gillespie answered, I had a question, but Ms. Gillespie answered already by using the Avenue County Road. I'm just curious, there's a reason why I speak passionately about certain things happening in Uniondale or in Hempstead. If you ever noticed the 800 stickers for the abandoned cars to be bought, I see that it's all over Uniondale and Hempstead, West Hempstead, Uniondale, Hempstead, and Roosevelt. But but I don't see it in Levittown, I don't see it in East Continental. They put on the stop sign on both sides of the stop sign, so I don't know if that's part of your department or part of the county department. But you know, it's 800 numbers that they say, you know, for people want to sell their cars. And that to me is like pollution by design. And I don't know who I have to speak to if somebody to address that particular issue.
You're speaking to me, and I will try to listen and check.
Oh, but if you go to any of the stop signs on the areas I just mentioned, they're red letter on a white background. You can't miss them. And things like that that you don't see in other zip codes that happen if you're not married. That's why I know.
We have an involvement, we have a problem, and we get down there as well.
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying, Senior Councilman Goolsbee, this is why when sometimes people, and you're right, people should come to you about certain issues, but I know you're a very busy woman, and Mr. Clayton, he's very busy, but he both represent all of Nassau County. That's why I address the issue to both yourself and him, you see, because we both positions.
All you need to do is just call the office and just let us know. You don't have to wait till you come here. You come here to do this.
I do.
Sometimes, but I don't know this.
It's okay. People cannot remember me. It's all right. See, no, it's okay. It's okay, Mr. Goolsbee, Senior Council Goolsbee. It's all right. Because I feel like, you know, the race always go to the fastest list, but who stay keep going forward. I just keep going forward. But thank you for not me speaking and everything else. But since she's had to bring other issues to you, we'll see what happens. Okay.
I have staff that will take care of those issues.
This hopefully we'll see. There's a new year, new administration. I have my faith. That's what keeps me going strong. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Jacobs. Have a good day. Stu Kroll. You give your name and address, please.
Stu Kroll, Great Neck. Congratulations to all our recently elected representatives. With the dawn of the new administration, we in the animal advocate community are still dealing with many of the same problems. At this point, Mr. Clavin, I certainly believe that you'll be able to rectify these problems and you'll make every effort to do so. While we have many wonderful volunteers at the shelter, unfortunately some of our administrators are not qualified to be in the positions that they currently hold. We have a shelter director, Pastori, who inspected the Utica facility where 6 of our dogs were sent. Incidentally, we really should send Ulster County canines who took the dogs some sort of compensation for the considerable amount of money that they've laid out. I've recently spoken with them. He subsequently gave this Utica facility a clean bill of health. It turned out the conditions were so bad that upon inspection, the Utica mayor burst into tears, which is of course on video. We have a dog trainer who allegedly lied about 4 out of her 5 stated qualifications. The board didn't have the stomach to renew her contract when it expired, so shortly after its expiration, she was hired part-time at a rate of $55 an hour. Apparently, I'm going to have to resort to taking advantage of FOIL to see who approved this absurd hire. Over a year ago, one of our dogs was summarily murdered, allegedly by the 3 decision makers there. At the time, Pastori, Fonte, and Shelby recommending this. The dog had a facility upstate that met all the financial and other requirements to take the dog. They were days away from doing so, and they never got the opportunity to do so. The reason I bring this up, in the last 2 weeks, there was another dog apparently over here that was slated to be adopted. Suddenly, more insurance was required, everybody went silent, and no doubt had people not intervened, and congratulations, and I applaud whoever did intervene, this dog would have met the same fate as Brock. I hope this new administration will realize that true positive change cannot occur at the shelter unless key personnel there are replaced. Let's see, Bruce, you might find this next part interesting. A few months ago, I mentioned that many communities are now prohibiting pet stores from selling puppies, rabbits, and kittens. This effectively eliminates heinous puppy mills from continuing to prosper and thereby eliminating demand. At the time, I received no serious response from this board. I'm now proud to be the co-founder of a group called Voters for Voiceless, which is a group intended to give political power to those that support animal welfare laws. We will support politicians that do this through endorsements from our many voting members and utilizing financial contributions as well. 2 state senators in the last week, Brooks and Martinez, recently co-sponsored a bill prohibiting puppy and kitten sales. I have reached out to numerous other senators and assembly members as well. Yet I have confidence this will be passed with its clear purpose intact. If it is altered, defeating its purpose, whomever brings this about will face whatever political consequences we can muster. My final point, or second to final point, is that I believe it's way past the time for the town of Hempstead to take the ethical lead and ban puppy mill stores in this town. It's the right thing to do, and I believe it's also the politically expedient thing to do. One last point I want to make. Apparently a bunch of dogs in the back of the shelter, a large percentage are now coded yellow, which means it's very difficult for adoption groups to adopt them. They're not being walked as frequently as other dogs. And these decisions, I believe, have been made by somebody that's not qualified to make them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crowe. Ms. Meredith?
Yes, Anita Meredith. Just a couple of points. Again, we're looking for a fresh start, so let me start out with thanking this board for the decision with regard to Baldwin. I do appreciate the statement that Senior Councilwoman Gooseby made. There are residents in Baldwin that still have grave concerns, but we are very hopeful and we are willing to work collaboratively, but there are still a number of issues that remain to be addressed. One of the concerns that residents have expressed since we had a grand opening for yet another beauty supply place, and we do not have a centrally located supermarket, that is a major concern for residents of Baldwin. Aside from the fact that there are 2 civic associations, actually 3 if you consider Stearns Park, because a number of those residents who pay taxes to the school board of the school district. So we are hoping that everyone is involved in the decisions and the discussions moving forward with regard to Baldwin. Secondly, my concern continues to be addressing the lack of significant results from collaborations, much needed collaborations between the town and the county. We need to really address more cross-collaborative, overlapping support services, whether it's shared services, to bring about reduced costs, because we are losing residents on a regular basis. Even though we are all aware that school taxes are our largest requirement, the combined county and town tax base that we pay, residents are still concerned about not getting a return on that investment. So I'm just encouraged that there will be increased collaboration between the town and the county so that residents will be aware of that. Lastly, but for me most importantly, veteran services. Again, we do have, and it was drummed into my ear on more than one occasion, about having a designated representative. And he does a yeoman's job for the resources that he has. But I, again, am hopeful that as we're starting early, that we can incorporate into this budget a increased funding base and support, and as well as training within the township itself, because it was just recently that I became more aware of an added information source to help our indigent veterans so that they have a burial process, and to have to go through that. We should not say that if we're talking about the parades and the pancake breakfasts, that I had to basically pass a hat to try to raise $1,500 to bury one of our veterans who did serve this country. So again, I want to remain hopeful that we can move forward, and if I can just make one last point with regard to the roads, if we can definitely do something about the roads and to expand contracting so that it is more inclusive of our veterans, minority and women businesses in this township, it would be appreciated. It would be a definite benefit for all the residents who live here who continue to feel like they're not being represented in service. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. DeFina, I got like a maybe. What are you thinking? Lucille DeFina?
I'm thinking I'm going to wait a month or so.
All right, I'll put that on my calendar. All right. Marcia Detrieri? Detieri.
Hi.
How are you? I'm sorry. Hey, no, come on, it's 5 minutes. It's still morning here.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, come on.
Good morning. Congratulations to everyone on their... My name is Marcia Detieri. I live in Merrick, New York, also known as the Campgrounds or Tiny Town. I'm here today following up on the last meeting of 2019, specifically the administrative calendar resolution, as I have here, on tree preservation laws that unfortunately was voted down. I've been advocating for this, attending and speaking out at board meetings for over 3 years, as all the board members, excluding Councilman Carini and Supervisor Clavin, can attest to. I have presented scientific documentation on the effects of destroying our precious resources, presented a petition with over 350 residents who signed it, who also want preservation, and gave other township tree preservation laws, and to date, no change. I would like to be optimistic, a new decade, a new supervisor and councilman, hopefully a cleaner future for our town. I did see that you have environmental issues on your 2020 town agenda, hopefully preserving mature, healthy trees. I would also like to meet with the appropriate staff to expedite changes that will stop the ongoing destruction of so many mature, healthy trees in the name of progress. My home is in an area called Tiny Town, or the Merritt Campgrounds, established in the 1800s with so many historical areas. There are newspaper clippings that I'm going to submit to you indicating the importance of such historical areas. Even with that, developers have come in and destroyed these historical homes to build a bigger home or 2 homes, as currently allowed. Many times illegally cutting down all of the trees because laws are currently either not being enforced or their profits outweigh the consequences of minor fines they will have to pay. Numerous phone calls and emails have been sent to all the board members in the past few months requesting stricter tree preservation laws, as with other townships, as in Oyster Bay and North Hempstead, as the board is aware. Please let us work together to protect our natural resources, the wildlife that depend on it, and the oxygen that we need to sustain us. If I can set up a future meeting with someone today, I would appreciate that, as well as working together with the board and supervisor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And before you go, see that Kathy Malone over there? Kathy's going to wave her hand. Kathy, raise your hand, wave it. Kathy's going to grab you outside. We'll do a little follow-up, okay?
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Patty Harris?
Patty Harris, I'm with the Ocean Garden Citrus Association and a resident of Uniondale. Hi. I was going to say something else, but I would like to address Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Sometimes some people are afraid to let their names be on paper to send to you or to call your office. So they come to Nostra Gardens to speak to us because of the fact that the response that you did today, they're afraid that you would act that way. So, and I would think that you would appreciate that you would have residents who are fortunate to come to a civic to ask for help. So you should take that into consideration. My second question is, H2M, architecture, engineering, how long has the town been dealing with them?
There have been recurring contracts with H2M for many, many years. I would imagine engineering department or water department have dealt with them for many, many years.
And 15, 20 years, how long?
I would guess at least 20 years.
Okay, can you give me exact, can you let me know?
I'll check with engineering and the other departments, water, and I'll look at that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Ellen Craig? Craig? Oh, Craig, come on. There's Mary Ellen. How are you? Good afternoon.
Mary Ellen Craig, 436 Locust Avenue, Uniondale. First of all, I'd like to wish you all a productive and very healthy year in 2020. Secondly, I'd like to hope that the CDBG monies will be on the next agenda, and hopefully those of us who have already laid out for various events and activities will be able to be reimbursed. I'd like to call your attention to Y56, which I hope you will investigate. I understand it's very intensive and possibly has more effects on people's health than the other types of Wi-Fi, because we ought to possibly consider wiring the Wi-Fi 6 rather than having it whatever the technology is now. And finally, I would like to put my 2 cents in, or maybe more, for the tree preservation. As you know, I've brought that up before. We had the horrible example of Holly Patterson, where all those trees were, ripped out, torn out, ripped up, and unfortunately they were a beautiful alley of trees all the way down that First Street. So it's really, it would have enhanced the development, and unfortunately the development is so huge and overpowering, it's unbelievable, and I find it very, very difficult that so many units were approved for this particular project. We really need more attention to the concerns of the people of Uniondale, and I'd like to put my word in to consider, as Pearl has said, that we need more care for our concerns and our issues. We're a small town, but we have unity and we really care about each other and the place we live in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Diane Madden?
Diane Madden, Hempstead. I have heard a continued amount of injuries that are taking place at the animal shelter. I'm unsure at this point, Supervisor, if you have been informed of the physical injuries to some of the staff.
This year?
This year.
Commissioner?
Jerry Marino, Commissioner of General Services. Not that I'm aware of that anybody is hurt. Seriously.
One of the seriously? One of the supervisors?
Somebody's hand got bit, but you handle dogs all day, that's a possibility. Is that what you're talking about?
That's one of the examples. I would think that's important enough for the supervisor to be aware of. Could you please tell me if the RFP to get in qualified trainer to train the staff, to prevent injuries to staff, to public, to the volunteers, has the RFP, is there any discussion to repost that RFP? I know that the union president has been up, not since January 1st, of course, to express her concern about the union employees being injured. So could someone please tell me if that RFP is getting reposted? I mean, the prior supervisor really had no interest because she campaigned on that animal shelter, so she went to great lengths to make sure the public didn't know about the extent of the mismanagement there and the injuries and the lack of the kind of training that employees need and deserve.
Is there anything about an RFP?
All I can say is I know this past administration, without my knowledge, was, I just know through hearsay, possibly was trying to put out some RFP. I never saw it, did not go through RFP process. It may have gone through purchasing, but I've never heard of it. It's the first time I'm hearing of it.
And I'll follow up and I'll talk to the CSCA president about that as well. So I don't know, but I'll follow up with her on that.
Thank you. So I just want to understand this correctly. You, Mr. Marino, did not know there was an RFP up to bring in additional training?
I wouldn't, we would do public works. If it was a contract that she wanted to put through the purchasing department and was not returnable to Department of General Services, which it should be, I wouldn't know.
Okay, because again, and additionally, there are at least 30 dogs right now deemed a different level. Their walkers have been removed. There are some behind Kennel 3 that are not being walked at all. I would like to actually get behind there myself. I welcome you to join me, Supervisor, because I am very concerned about some of these dogs where the volunteers have been removed from handling them, volunteers that have handled them for many months before and not gotten injured. What is continuing there is the retaliation, is punishment to certain volunteers, to certain staff members, and that's something that I'm hoping in the very near future. I wish I had Lucille's patience, but this has been a very long time that this is ongoing, and it needs to change. And you can't fix things with the same people that broke them, and I'm just going to leave it at that. But things need to change at the animal shelter. And I think that there are many people now that are sitting and waiting, including staff, including volunteers, that are very upset that they've been removed from these animals, and these animals have very few walkers, if at all. And that is just going to result in these animals worsening. So I do urge you to pay attention to this and act swiftly, especially with regards to the RFP. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Joe Tonini. If you state your name and address for the record.
My name is...
Yeah, the mic, you're fine.
My name is Joe Tonini, and I live at 103 Skelly Place in Mineola, which is in North Hempstead, but I also am here as a volunteer with the Sierra Club's Clean Energy for All campaign. And I'd like to find out, like, if the consulting report, I believe it was Clearview Consulting of Coral, on the possibility of a solar array on the Oceanside landfill. Has the results come in on that?
Sir, if you'd like, Kathy sitting in the front row, she will get your information, and I will speak to the Commissioner of Engineering and the Commissioner of Sanitation, and whatever reports I'm happy to share with you.
Okay.
I'm only answering because the landfill falls in my district.
Okay.
All right.
So, like, we can set up a meeting with you, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, first I got to see from the commissioners if the report is back, what what we're allowed to share. If maybe we could share everything, but let me get the answer from the two commissioners, and Kathy will get your information. We'll reach out to you. All right.
Thank you.
Can I have any other slips? Does anybody else wish to address the town board? If not, everybody have a great day. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Good job.